This is Simon Wu from Game Insight Productions, and I'm here with Ryan Wyatt, aka Fwiz on Twitter. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
So you're one of the preeminent streamers and codcasters on Machinima.
Yep.
So what are you guys planning in the near future in terms of eSports? Can we expect to see a lot more of the COD tournaments and kind of amping up kind of their prestige and the stakes?
Yeah, so I run live in esports at Machinima, and we do a lot of original programming in esports, like very human interest kind of content. So it's to really get into the players and more about the players and the content in between tournaments. We also do, on top of that, Frag Cup, which is an online Call of Duty tournament that's pretty fun. And we kicked off Black Ops. We were the first big Black Ops 2 tournament to do a tournament. So, and on top of that, I do a lot of casting, right, and shoutcasting. And I just got back from MLG Anaheim, and I leave for London on Tuesday for Gfinity. So it's cool to see there's a lot more content in Call of Duty esports, just in general, about the players, about the teams. And then on top of that, websites like Esports Nation that are doing content coverage. And then, again, more tournaments to just be shoutcasting.
So where do you see the future of streaming going? Obviously, this is a very recent development, such as the streaming built into both of the next-gen consoles.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Look, because streaming from a technology standpoint can be expensive, right? To get a PC that's able to do it and the hardware that's all required to stream can be difficult and expensive. And allows for the entry point for people out there to become more difficult. So the integration of Ustream into PlayStation 4 and Twitch and Xbox One is huge. It's the hardware in these new consoles are just so much better given the time. Since the last one came out, right? So to make this more accessible for people to get their content out there and share their content is just a great thing in general, right? I mean, you can't get enough of it.
Yeah, so you mentioned lowering the barrier to entry, but most critically, do you believe that reduced barrier to entry greatly reduces the overall quality of content? Because anyone can just press a button and then have all of their content streamed. I mean, we've seen that as the price of capture cards has fallen, and now it's about to be eliminated altogether, pretty much.
YouTube went through it, right? You saw cap cards like the Dazzle that came out, and it was like $49 or whatever it was at some point, and you're right, it's going to ultimately be completely eliminated. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of content out there that is bad content. That's just not good, and there's no doubt about it. But through SEO and these different kind of mechanisms, I think the good content will surface, right? Twitch is going to end up having thousands and thousands of broadcasters out there. And yeah, I think there's going to have to be a problem that they'll have to address to make sure that the quality content surfaces. And I believe it will, At the end of the day, YouTube is going to have Charlie Bit My Finger on there, but now they also have like Halo Forward on the Dawn that Machinima did, the Mortal Kombat 2 series, and you'll find that content, right? The good content does end up surfacing out, and I think it happened on YouTube. I think it'll happen on these other streaming platforms like Twitch.
So what does it take for someone who's just getting started to try and stand up above the rest, do you think?
I mean, it's first of all, consistency. A lot of people think that, you're going to become the next celebrity overnight, and it takes a long time, and it takes hard work, consistency, and you've got to be, you got to be entertaining. The fact of the matter is you do have to be entertaining. People have to want to watch your content. But I look at somebody on our network like Syndicate Project. He does Call of Duty Zombies videos. 2.5 years ago, he was working at McDonald's. Now he just bought a house, right? And he's making content. He streamed the other night on YouTube Live and had 70,000 people watching him. That's comparable to like what the Call of Duty stream was at MLG. So it takes time, and people see the success of like these YouTube stars or these Twitch streaming stars and think that just kind of happens. And it takes time and dedication, and it takes hard work like anything else that comes good in life.
So there seems to be a bifurcation of people that watch streams for kind of personality and humor, and then streams for people who watch for skill, right? Like Rooster Teeth are obviously the ones towards personality and humor, and then you would be much more of the skill-based. You think there's just going to be that division, or is there something that bridges the gap?
Yeah, I mean, I think there will be that, because look, like there's entertainers, and then there's people, like to your point, that are proficient at the game, right? So you'll see a little bit of both. Like I feel there's a lot of people that are really talented players that can be very entertaining as well. But I always think there's going to be a place, because not everybody is looking for like hardcore players, or you like look at League of Legends that have to be playing high elo and all of that. There's people that like, hey, look, I just want to watch, get some laughs and some people want to watch and be like, I want to learn something or improve my game. So you see there's people out there that have a little bit of that both. Like, look at Day 9, right? Like, he's a talented player, but he does a great job as an entertainer and also as an educator. So I think you'll see a lot more of those personalities come up, and I think there's definitely a place for both of them.
So here at the convention, there's a group from Iron Gaming who are trying to create a unified framework for esports, a system of leagues, relegation, promotion, points, and a universal card that is recognized across all tournaments that they sanction. Do you think that's really what esports has been missing to really take that big step towards being much more organized and increasing its prestige and legitimacy?
I think that's a really daunting task to tackle, because a lot of what you'll see is the developers would like to dictate and control their future for their respective titles, and I believe that's really the only framework where it's going to be successful. You now, with that said, though, you look at like an MLG that has multiple different game titles, and they can work with the developer, and they can have that relationship, and it is shown that it's capable of being successful. I'm not... I'm optimistic that it can happen that way. I don't think that's like what's missing, though, right? I like to reference a lot of esports with traditional sports, and there's a lot of good parallels there, but it doesn't mean that everything needs that. You don't see something in sports where it's the NFL doesn't control like football, baseball, basketball, golf, tennis, and all these other traditional sports, right? NFL has its one pillar, and it controls the National Football League, right? And you see that, right? Like, Riot owns League of Legends and controls that, and they're going to have their hand in whatever happens, and they have a unified rule set that if you want to be in Challenger League and all this thing. So I think it'll be difficult for them to do that, because the developers want to dictate so much of the game's future and how people are competing in it.
And so for some of these people, there's actually a sort of a middle for COD streaming. Obviously, you have your highly competitive focused esports, which is officially sanctioned, and then you have your informal Let's Plays. But there are a ton of people, a ton of pros just streaming. Where do you see them fitting in? Who's watching them? Are they just trying to be watched by people who are trying to learn from the pros, emulate the pros?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are like, a good example is like Nadeshot, right? He's a Call of Duty pro player. He's funny. He's got a ton of personality. He's young. He's identifiable, right? If you're a 14 to 17-year-old male, like it's hard not to like the kid, right? He's a talented player. He's sponsored by Red Bull. He's funny and he's skilled. So I think, when you go there and watch, it's like there's a lot of different reasons you watch. I mean, sometimes you might just want to like, how do I get through this level, or how is he playing this way, or what kind of skills does he have, or maybe you just want to like just chill out and watch, or maybe you want background noise and you're watching like some esports broadcast for a game you really don't even care that much about. So there's just so many different reasons to watch content. There's talking head shows as well. So I mean, there's just so many different reasons to watch different content, and I think each broadcaster that's big that pulls big numbers is definitely bringing something unique that maybe another one doesn't have.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Wish you the best.
Thanks.